Welcome to another deep dive, everybody. Today, we're heading to the ancient Khmer Empire.
Ooh, exciting.
To explore the narrative depicted on the causeways of Angkor Thom.
A story told in stone.
I like that. Yeah, a story literally carved in stone.
It's amazing how they chose to tell this particular story. You know, Angkor Thom, built by King Jayavarman VII
Okay.
in the late 12th century, it wasn't just a royal city.
Right.
It was designed as a symbolic mandala.
A mandala. And for our listeners who may not be familiar with that,
Oh, of course.
could we get a little background
Yeah.
on what exactly that means?
Absolutely. So a mandala is essentially a geometric design that represents the cosmos and, our place within it.
I see.
And Angkor Thom, the city itself, was laid out to mirror this cosmic order. Imagine approaching this city.
Wow.
You'd encounter these imposing walls
I've seen pictures. Yeah.
and a moat, right? And then to get into the city, you'd have to cross one of 5 grand causeways.
These causeways, they're more than just paths, though, right?
Right. They're lined with these rows of figures, all engaged in this dramatic tug of war. You have the divas, the gods on one side,
Okay.
and the asuras, the demons, on the other.
Oh, wow.
And they're all pulling on this giant serpent, a naga.
It's such a striking image, and it makes you wonder.
It really does.
What's the story here? What were the Khmer trying to convey?
Well, it directly references a popular Hindu myth,
Oh, interesting.
the churning of the ocean of milk.
Okay.
It's a story about the gods and demons who
Right.
are normally rivals,
Yeah, of course.
but they have to work together to churn the cosmic ocean.
Using the serpent as a rope,
Exactly, to obtain amrita,
which if...
the elixir of life.
Oh, right, of course.
But the question is, why depict this particular story on the causeways leading into Angkor Thom?
Right. Why this story?
Well, the causeways themselves beautifully mirror this myth.
Really?
Yeah, they represent the churning, you see,
Yeah.
and the Bayon Temple, which is at the city's center, that symbolizes Mount Meru.
Okay, so more symbolism for us to unpack.
A little bit, yeah.
So Mount Meru, what's its significance?
So in Hindu cosmology, it's considered the mythical mountain
I see.
at the center of the universe.
At the center of the universe.
Yes, and by placing the Bayon, with its iconic face towers,
Right.
at the city's center,
Mm-hmm.
the Khmer were essentially recreating this cosmic axis.
So by walking across these causeways,
Yeah.
you were participating in this cosmic event.
Exactly.
A journey from the mundane to this sacred center.
And the choice of the churning of the ocean of milk
Yeah.
reinforces this idea,
How so?
because it's not just about obtaining the elixir of life, right?
Okay.
It's about the creation of the world itself.
Oh, wow.
The churning brings order from chaos.
I see. So it's like they're saying,
Yeah.
we're connecting our city to this grand narrative.
Exactly.
And we're emphasizing this idea of order and creation.
Absolutely. But there's also the political dimension.
Oh, yes, of course.
Uh-huh.
Jayavarman VII, he inherited a kingdom in turmoil.
Right, after the Cham invasion.
Yeah, it was a mess.
And he managed to restore order, expand the empire.
And he wants to show this off.
Right. So, incorporating this myth into his city, it wasn't just symbolic, it was a statement.
It's like he's saying, look what I've done.
Exactly.
I brought balance back to the universe, just like in the myth.
It's a brilliant interpretation, but here's where it gets even more interesting.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Jayavarman VII was a devout Buddhist,
He was.
but his city prominently features this Hindu myth.
That's pretty interesting. Was there some religious tension?
Not necessarily. Khmer beliefs at the time were very syncretic, meaning they blended elements from different religions.
Oh, okay.
You see Hindu and Buddhist themes next to each other all the time.
So it's like a spiritual melting pot, a blending of different faiths.
Exactly. And that adds another layer of complexity to the narrative.
It does, and it raises another question.
Oh, I'm all ears.
If the religious aspect wasn't the main focus, what message were they sending by choosing this specific myth? It had to resonate with them somehow.
That's a very astute observation, and it leads us perfectly into our next part, where we'll dive even deeper into the possible meanings behind this imagery.
Sounds good to me.
Welcome back. Let's delve deeper.
Yeah, let's get into those deeper meanings.
You got it. We talked about symbolism, historical context. Now let's imagine how people actually experienced these causeways.
Right, what would it have been like to walk amongst those figures?
Picture this. You're a visitor approaching Angkor Thom for the very first time.
Oh,
You've crossed the moat.
this symbolic boundary.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you're on this grand causeway.
Yeah.
And above you, these larger-than-life figures, gods and demons,
Wow.
locked in this eternal struggle.
It must have been awe-inspiring.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Maybe a little intimidating.
Oh, absolutely. And as you approach the city center, you see the Bayon.
With those face towers.
Exactly. Looming larger and larger, like the architecture itself is guiding your gaze.
It's like a journey from the earthly realm to the divine.
Precisely. And that attention to detail,
Yeah.
it's in other aspects of the causeway's design, too.
Like what?
Well, like, each causeway, it has devas on the left, asuras on the right, all holding the naga.
I see.
It emphasizes this idea of balance, duality.
Right. And speaking of the devas and asuras,
Yeah.
earlier we talked about how the myth might have resonated beyond its religious significance. What if those figures represent more than just gods and demons?
Interesting thought. We can definitely explore broader interpretations here.
Like what?
Well, the tug-of-war, maybe it symbolizes the duality in human nature, you know?
That makes sense.
The struggle between our good and bad instincts.
So it's not just a scene from mythology.
Yeah.
It's a reminder of our own struggles, the forces inside us.
I like that.
And if the Bayon symbolizes Mount Meru,
The center of the universe.
reaching the city center could be like reaching enlightenment then.
Ooh, I like where you're going with this.
It's a metaphorical pathway to enlightenment. The figures are the challenges we face.
Brilliant. It adds another layer to the whole experience.
It transforms the physical journey into a spiritual one.
And remember, this was a Buddhist society.
Right. Enlightenment was key.
So it makes sense they'd incorporate those concepts into their city.
Makes perfect sense. But let's not forget the political context either.
Of course not.
Mm-hmm.
Jaivaron VII used the imagery for his own power, but he also cared for his people.
Right. So by emphasizing this balance, this journey to enlightenment,
Yeah.
he was guiding his people toward a higher goal.
Exactly. It unified them under a shared vision.
Clever. They really understood the power of symbolism.
They did. They used it to shape the landscape and the minds of their people.
It really makes you think, do any modern leaders put this much thought into their cities?
Great question.
But anyway,
It is captivating, isn't it?
totally, and there's still more to uncover.
Shall we continue exploring?
Let's do it. We'll wrap up and see what insights we can gain from all this in the final part.
Sounds good to me.
Back for our final segment on these incredible causeways.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey, hasn't it?
It really has. Hindu myths, Buddhist symbolism, Khmer leadership.
And it all comes back to the stories they chose to tell.
Literally carved in stone for everyone to see.
And to experience too, remember?
Right. These aren't just static sculptures. They evoke emotions, ideas.
Imagine the scene, you know?
What do you mean?
The sights, the sounds, vibrant colors, monks chanting.
Maybe some music, dancing, processions,
Exactly, and above it all, those faces on the Bayon,
looking down on everyone.
creating this sense of, I don't know, being watched.
Part of something bigger?
Makes you wonder how it made the people feel, right?
Did it comfort them, knowing their king and gods were watching?
Or was it more awe-inspiring, even a little scary?
It's hard to know for sure, but it shows the power of art and architecture.
To shape not just our environment.
But our thoughts and beliefs, too.
The Khmer knew that a city is more than just buildings.
It reflects the people, their values,
And for Angkor Thom, the causeways were a powerful reminder.
balance, enlightenment, this connection to a cosmic order,
Ideas that really resonated with the people.
and help unify them under the king.
But here's the thing.
What's
Those ideas, they're not just ancient history, they're universal.
You're right. We all have those internal struggles.
We search for meaning, for purpose.
And that connection to something bigger than ourselves.
Exactly. So even though Angkor is long gone,
The stories, the symbols, they still speak to us.
they make us reflect on our own values, what we want to achieve.
Like a challenge to create spaces that inspire.
Spaces that foster connection, purpose,
We can learn a lot from the Khmer.
how they wove meaning and symbolism into their world.
It's a reminder that the stories we tell, the things we build,
They have the power to shape lives for generations.
that's a powerful thought to end on.
It is, isn't it?
Well, we've reached the end of our Angkor Thom deep dive.
I hope everyone enjoyed it.
Thanks for joining us, and until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep searching for those deeper meanings.